All right, there we go. And I am going to also turn on the transcript. All right. So transcript is here. Thank you everyone for coming to the, okay. So Sophie's gonna need to jump off at 3:30, so I wanna get going on this with Sophie talking, because I do know a lot of the conversation is gonna be around the Oakland for All accessible playground. So welcome to today's October 8th, October 16th meeting of the Burlington Advisory Committee on Accessibility. Let's just make an introductions for everybody. My name is Nate Pizzaio. I am the chair of the committee and I work for the Vermont Center for Independent Living. And I am just going to name people on my screen. So Catherine.
Catherine Shaw, Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Burlington.
Scott.
Scott Parker, CIO for the City of Burlington.
Vanessa.
Hi, everyone. Vanessa Santos, Eugenio Talent Development and Diversity Manager in the Human Resources Department, City of Burlington.
Sophie.
Hi, Sophie Sauvé, Parks Comprehensive Planner with Burlington Parks Recreation and Waterfront.
Laura.
Laura Wheelock, Public Works Engineer.
Oh, Allie.
Hi, everybody. Allie Fuddy. I'm the program manager for the Northeast Resource Center for Vision Education at UMass Boston. I'm also a visually impaired local Burlington resident who is in this meeting and chasing my toddler around at the same time as usual.
And Karen.
Hi, everybody. Karen Downey here. I'm a Burlington resident. I'm an occupational therapist, and I have worked in the Burlington schools as well as other schools across Vermont.
Do you want some paint?
Okay. I don't know if Ethan is going to be here. I know he was set to take the notes, so you can shoot him a message, but for right now, I guess we'll be going on without him.
You've got transcripts going, so that's almost as good.
Yep.
I'm also happy to reach out to him while you're running the meeting too. I can do that.
If you're okay to do that, that'd be great. I'm just wondering if he might have missed it because was off and now he's back on. I did repost it because Karen rejoined us, but I did share the agenda. And I do want to, because I know that Sophie needs to leave soon, that I do just want to jump into the grand opening for the Oakland for All accessible playground. It's coming up right on us. In fact, it's going to be in like 3 weeks, a little less than 3 weeks. And I know we had discussed some things we could do from it. I will say I managed to reach out to CEDO and talk to Ethan, and his name's slipping me, the head of CEDO.
Brian?
But yes, not Brian, no, the
Scott?
other. Yes, got it. Yeah, all hard names to remember. They will be paying for ASL interpreters. They're going to do it through the language access team. Ethan has reached out to interpreters. I guess the only thing is actually making sure ASL interpreters are available on Saturdays. I requested 2 interpreters because I think that would be best given the number of speakers to be present for that. So hopefully we got the funding source and we're getting that going. It's just actually hoping to get the interpreters available. So that's all set. I know we had talked about using some funds for transportations. Catherine, I did get your email saying that is good to be using it. Though Sophie did bring up a question that I thought might be for us to consider, which is, I'll let you bring it up, Sophie, about what it is. And I can't remember what it was. Is the group called the Family Room? Is that what it was, Allie? Oh, yeah, I see people nodding their heads. So.
Yes, it was the family room. Sorry, I was
Okay.
I'm muted because the toddler.
Yeah, no problem. So Sophie, why don't you bring up your question for the group and we can just discuss it a little bit.
So I had brought the idea of transportation up to some colleagues who work out of the O&E community center, so where the family room is, just about making transportation an option to the opening of Oakledge. And one of the kind of questions that we were mulling about was, is it a great time to bring a lot of kids down to Oakledge because there'll be speeches and that kind of formal program, obviously, which will take up about half an hour of the afternoon? Or is it better to kind of reserve that time to give them a tour on their own of Oakledge at some other point in time when it's less of a chaotic mess with lots going on? I think the question earlier we were in our planning meeting for the event was about, I think it was specifically about a class, I don't know if you remember, Nate, a class of specifically autistic folks coming down. I think that's a different question than if it's a family room and there's, I just, it's one of those, like, what's the best scenario for those that we want to involve? Is it really at the opening, or is it doing something else that could connect them to Oakledge so they know that that's a resource now for them? Just a conundrum we're kind of in, I guess.
Just speaking as a mom of like typically functioning children, I don't think they would have wanted to sit through a half an hour. Like, you're like, come to this cool playground event, but also there's going to be boring adult speeches. So don't touch it yet. Does seem like not the best idea. I kind of like if we do one thing that day, that's more like for us as adults, we all feel great, we got this done, but then not even limiting ourselves to one day, in some ways, like being able to roll this out to smaller groups and show them that it's there and all the features could be better. I'm interested what other people think.
I have conflicted feelings about it. I certainly agree that no kid wants to be around, when there's speeches going on and kind of boring and doing that. But I do feel that the whole purpose for Oakledge for All is integration, and integration of, kids with disabilities and with able-bodied kids and don't have it. So if we're doing something where we're not bringing in the autistic children, but all these other kids are there, that kind of defeats the purpose of the park. With that being said, I do know that, my wife is an interventionist and works with kids with autism at times. And just like any kids, their attention spans are very small and some noise. So we want to be sensitive to that. So, I mean, we're on a little bit of time. And I guess the question is, how do we go back? Should we just try reaching out? And Allie, you have the connection there. Should we reach out and see what their feeling is? I do like the idea of also maybe this committee contributing to help throw another event, maybe more exclusive to certain groups. But I do think that if we're worrying about inviting Oakledge, kids with autism to something that's supposed to be about Oakledge for All, it kind of defeats the purpose. But that being said, I also get it. So, yeah. Laura.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
No, well, Allie, your things. I want to get your feedback on it first, and then.
Well, I'll just say I ran into Sarah today at the family room. I was at the family room earlier, and she actually brought it up to me. There's they're excited about the prospect for sure, and she's been asking me, for more details. My daughter, if you can't hear her in the background, wants more yellow paint. And so there's definitely an appetite for it. I guess maybe I'm misunderstanding of what the purpose of the opening of the park is, and maybe just some more clarity around that, because I guess I walked away from the last meeting with an understanding that the purpose was to gather for play in the playground, but it sounds like that maybe isn't the primary purpose. So, it'd be worth also talking about, like, we had talked just specifically about this group of kids with autism who get together with a play group through the family room. But just like as far as just accessing like a park in the South End and Oakledge in general, like I could see all families almost from the family room, or many families from the family room, benefiting beyond just the super group from being welcomed into Oakledge and learning about the park, and especially if there was like interpreters available and things like that. So like I can see the benefit of a like family room specific, different event. They would integrate like the kids across, many disability categories and not who attend the family room. So yeah, those are just my thoughts. But I'll just say that like they're excited about the prospect of being included in some kind of Oakledge activity. So maybe I just need a little more clarification about like what the vision from the Parks Department is as far as the purpose of the opening.
So Sophie, do you want to reply to that? And
Unless Laura had something.
My comment was pretty similar to what Allie was saying, and I have a kid with a sensory processing disorder, and I wouldn't want to keep them away from an event that's celebrating something like this, but maybe it doesn't look like our typical kind of press event where like we're set up immediately next to it and all of the exciting stuff is happening adjacent to the playground. If that community type in collaboration, which is the whole, I think the understanding of why you would hold this type of event to celebrate it, happens kind of offset to the side, and it gets explained to people like we're trying to give kids their space because some of them need it. Maybe that's the balance between including and bringing community members that wouldn't normally have the opportunity to gather, and also still allowing the broader community to celebrate this project.
I love all these thoughts. It's great to hear it because we're so into it. It's hard to, when you're running 4,000 miles an hour, that's where
we
we're
got
at.
Karen after you talk, Sophie. So Karen does have her hand up as well. So just so you know.
Okay.
I was at Oakledge yesterday. I love it. I saw people using the playground already. It struck me that you do have that open space more up towards the tennis court. And you do have some space there that you could separate the speakers away from the actual playground. I don't know what you're doing with setting up a stage and having amplification for your speakers. I'm going to be there with our Vermont Ambucks adapted bikes. So we will have probably a number of the three-wheeled accessible adapted bikes available for kids and adults to try. And we're setting up, we'll be ready by 1:45, and we'll go probably, if we're not going to be too noisy, we might continue during the speakers. So it just depends where we get put when we show up on the day. But you do have some space. So I like the idea of allowing some kids to play while the adults are listening.
I think that's a great point. And it might be helpful to just what our run of show currently looks like. We're thinking at 2 to 3 p.m. is a sensory friendly hour. Then the 3 o'clock is the speeches till about 3:30. Then 3:30 to 4-ish, there's a dance that's going to happen on the playground, which is everybody is invited to participate in that. And then there'll be a DJ. So it's not solely boring adult stuff. There is that, but I like the idea of maybe pulling it out from being directly next to the playground so that we can allow kids to be kids while that's happening. I love that idea. And I mean, part of the whole project is the new accessible parking spaces adjacent to the main, thoroughfare. And there is space there to maybe have that there, or it's a flat area as well that could accommodate all the adult stuff. So this is great.
Okay,
And
anybody else have any comments?
I would just say if we do feel like there's some funding available from this group and we do want to include the family room super group is what they call their autism play group, that it would be helpful. Like, I'm happy to be the contact person to Sarah, but it'd be helpful for me to have like some next step to give her, like, hey, Sarah, can you please, submit a simple budget proposal to, me, and like how we can make that happen, just because we are on like a really tight timeline, and that's kind of what I was thinking.
I mean, okay, Karen?
One more question, Ally. You may have parents and kids that are using strollers. Do you have anybody using a wheelchair? Because transportation would need to be accessible. You have an
Not that I'm
accessible
aware of
van
in
and
that group.
bus. Okay.
Yeah, the
I can check
wheelchair
with Sarah,
part,
but
yeah. And the wheelchair part is tricky because mainly the accessible, unless I swoop in with my van, most of that is all done by SSTA, and they are very, very tricky to book through. For, I would recommend is hopefully they would be on Transit or something like that if they're in the
Are you all
Burlington
done?
area and they can schedule that.
Hey,
So,
Finn, you have lots of paint, okay? Look, you got lots of paint. Oh,
I'm eating Ally, sorry.
Is the
talking
Parks
to the
and Rec
toddler.
bus accessible for power chair or regular chairs? No, okay.
no,
But I would think, Ally, we would just need to submit a budget to, I would just send it honestly, Catherine and CC myself in it. And then we could do it from there. Catherine, is that your thoughts?
Yes, I think it's great for, this group, we didn't hardly spend any money of our budget last year, so the fact that we have ideas and want to use these funds, let's do it, you guys. I don't want to leave any money on the table this year.
Yeah. So, Ally, maybe it sounds like we should probably go ahead with it and do it, because it sounds like there is a lot of enthusiasm about it. And maybe even if it, and again, like I said, it is in November, so this is like I was saying during our planning group, this is the only time I'm actually rooting for global warming. But if it is cold and something needs to be rescheduled, maybe we can do for the kids playing, something could be planned for the spring. That's another plan, or something else could be done where we could do a spring opening event where where kids are welcome as well. But Ally,
Now-
if you could, yep.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, do we want to, like, when I communicate with Sarah, like for the purposes of this, do we want to keep it really focused to that autism play group, or do we want to talk about opening it up to other family room families that might also want to join and learn about the park? I'm just not sure how focused and you want to keep it, and maybe Sarah would have an idea about that she doesn't want to manage that, but it'd be
So
something to consider.
my understanding from the last meeting was that I think you said, Ally, is that they have vans there at the family room, and it's just more about maybe providing like a stipend for the drivers to use to help
Yeah.
pay for drivers to drive over. So my personal thought is if they have room on these vans, I don't want to be like, no, only kids with autism get on the vans. Everybody else, you're out kicking about. So if you have a vans with a capacity of, 15 people and
Yeah.
6 of them are autism family, or 8 of them and other families want to get on, I don't think that's an issue. I don't know how specific the parameters are, but again, it's about integration, and that's what it is.
Right.
So I would try to invite groups of people. That's my thought.
Yeah, and as a visually impaired person who like involves myself in family room activities, I have taken their vans before to things because I'm non-driver, and I'll say predominantly the families who access the vans are the new American families who don't have access to cars or are uncomfortable with just driving in Burlington in general, and would be like folks that we would want to include, right, who might otherwise be excluded from this kind of activity, would be my thought.
Sophie,
And that's why I had the conversation with our staff that's over there, asking if they could also do outreach just about interest in coming down to the South End to explore Oakledge to families that are in the old North End. So it's also a possibility to have our van do a pool, carpool down to Oakledge and then a carpool back up. The only thing that they recommended, besides the other conversations, was to have a sign up so we know that there's a desire for it versus like booking all this and then nobody uses it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wonder
And so I guess
also,
that would be like for a separate activity, though, it sounds like what you're suggesting.
Oh, no, it's for the event. That's what we were
Oh, okay, okay.
discussing. Yeah. So we just say, we're leaving, say at 2:00 for the sensory free hour, and then maybe there's another one at 3 or before 3, I should say, before the speeches. And then there's another time we're coming back, but just to have a sense of if there's interest.
I was
let
thinking
me,
that it-
Karen, you go, can Vanessa go first? Vanessa had her hand up. So Vanessa, then Karen.
I was going to say, if we're trying to encourage populations that are either recent immigrants here or maybe new Americans, folks who are here under lots of different reasons, it'd be really great to use some of our funding to focus on translation services for things like posters and maybe have that like QR code or something like this to encourage like a form or maybe a Survey Monkey or something like this to figure out attendance.
I see Ethan gave the thumbs up, and Ethan, as part of the language access team, is that something that you could help out with?
Hey, I'm no longer part of the language access team, but yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. That's where I'm getting confused.
We can make sure that we take advantage of it, though. We can get Scott Rogers and his team involved. And I think he has a new, she's in for the NPA. So yeah, we can get Scott Rogers involved from the language translation, the language access side.
And Ethan, really quickly, I know you are at language access team, and maybe it's something I should follow up with Scott, but I know you mentioned putting a reach out for ASL interpreters. Do you know if anybody's gotten back? I'm happy to reach out about that. I just need to figure out who to contact exactly. Oh, Ethan?
DCIL would be able to help us with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can, I just need to figure out, I don't know who it is. I can certainly reach out to who we have for contacts for that. Because I know that Ethan said in
Yep.
the last email that he had reached out to, but at the time, nobody was available to get back to him. I think they were just out of the office. So I can certainly try reaching out. I just need to figure out who to reach out to. And I
Okay.
could actually contact some of my people. And Laura would be another person I can ask.
Okay, I was going to say, I know that Ethan's not readily available, but I'm happy to get back in touch with our original contact
Okay,
and then CC you into that so that you have the person.
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, Karen, then Sophie.
Sophie, I just wanted to say, I think we could get some contacts at both Sustainability Academy and IAA, either the special educator or the PE teacher, and see if we could get a list of anyone who is interested in coming over, so you would know ahead of time if it was worth running a shuttle bus. I can email you some names after this, and hopefully we could make a list.
That sounds great. And I was just going to say, I can work with Scott Rogers on the translation piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Scott
So
just kind of said,
if it would be
send me a
helpful,
bill.
and I don't want to like step on anybody's. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ally.
I just was gonna say if I don't want to step on anybody's toes, Sophie, if your staff folks would prefer to be the coordination point, like I'm happy. I have enough on my plate, but if it would be helpful for me to like talk to Sarah at the family room and relay this information, I'm happy to do that, but you tell me what you want from me. If you'd rather that I stay out of it and you guys handle it, then that's totally fine as well.
I think you have the relationship and that's a lot easier for me. But I'll talk to my teammates just about like the coordination, the logistics part. If you can help with the coordination with Family Room, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess the question is like becomes like, should they plan on their van, or like, is there going to be some other transportation and they're just doing the coordinating part? Because that would probably impact their budget. But also the nice thing about their van is they have like a lot of families show up to the Family Room without car seats. So they have access to the car seats for people, maybe even like bringing infants and things like that. So that would be like my only concern about the parks department transportation, is that, you know, a lot of these families are walking and don't necessarily like aren't carrying their car seats with them.
I think that makes a lot of sense to depend on their van if we can for the smaller kids.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So what I can do, I mean, I've got your email address, Sophie, is I can, I'll maybe, yeah, I can like connect you with Sarah and I could CC you on any emails, and just so you kind of know what's going on there and what I've relayed, and then I'll encourage her to send a budget like a simple budget proposal to Nate and Catherine this week, just like, hey, what resources would you guys need to make this happen?
Yeah, great. And then, so Ethan, what I was saying when you stepped away, and I know we're just trying to figure out, I know you mentioned that you had reached out to the ASL interpreting group, and I don't think anyone was available to get back to you at that time. So I'm just, since you aren't doing that language access team, I think Vanessa had offered to okay, Jessica Hutchins for BCL. Jessica Hutchins. I don't know Jessica, and I work at BCL. Anyway, maybe I'll know it. But to just get in touch and follow up. But I don't know if you heard any follow up, or I just need to know if, you know, to kind of take over, kind of looking for the setting up the interpreters.
Yeah, thanks. So I did reach out to them and I didn't hear anything back. Let me double check who I reached out to. I think it was Jessica. Yeah, I reached out to Jessica Hutchins, or it's
Okay.
Hutchinger. But yeah, she hasn't gone back to me. I can reach out to them again. Their like website wasn't working. But I can also reach out to Scott Rogers and
Okay.
language.
And if you everyone wants to include me in that, and that looks like Vanessa did, I will reach out as well. And hopefully we can get something set up. I just want to make sure we get the interpreters all set, and I might also include Val Hughes, who is our deaf independence coordinator, in that as well, and she could kind of help do that. And then with the language part for New Americans, it looks like that would be something to reach out to Scott Rogers for, put together kind of like a survey monkey type thing. Okay.
Can you just remind me of the date? I know I've got it written down somewhere. I was make sure I'm right.
November 4th. So it is a Saturday.
November 4th.
It's Saturday, November 4th. And
Okay, great.
in
Starting
terms of
at 2.
Starting at 2. Yeah, 2 to about 4:30. Yeah, and Sophie said I will be sending out a save the date in the coming days, and there is an announcement. We are putting together groups to send them out to. It does look like Burlington Parks and Rec is going to be putting it on their website, and maybe we can move it over to some other websites. So let's see here. Sophie is joining us again. We have 2 Sophies. No. Okay. Let me go back and look at the agenda myself. So, if we don't have any more discussion about Oakledge, I did also want to revisit what we had talked about at the last meeting about dealing with complaints and how we should integrate it. If, like, for example, somebody comes in and has a complaint with a private business and, talks to, complains to either Catherine or somebody about the issue and or wants to come to the the Burlington Accessibility Committee, what can we do? It's not like we as a committee can kick open the door to a private business and demand that they do some training, but how do we work with them? And okay, so Karen also asked, who will be the person at Burlington Schools who receive the email save the date? I do know that we have I forgot her name, the occupational therapist. Well, no, the chair of your committee there, Karen, the chair of your OT committee.
Of our Vermont OT Association?
Yeah, she's the one you kept in contact. She's been involved with the Oakland for All project. The
Oh,
OT.
Chelsea Valancourt
Chelsea.
with South Burlington Schools.
Yeah, yeah, but she was going to be reaching out, sending out announcements to schools.
Okay, Russ Ellick is the public relations person at Burlington Schools, ELEK. And if Russ got that email, he could distribute it to the staff of Burlington Schools, especially special ed teachers, letting families know. Again, emails can get buried so easily in the Burlington schools. Just a question. But yeah, Chelsea Valancourt is actually sending information out to therapists across the state.
Okay.
So I can check with Chelsea too. Yeah.
Karen, can you email us the contact person information later, maybe to
Sure.
Sophie and I just send an
I
email.
need to look it up. I want to make sure I have the most recent people who are in the positions. They haven't, been
That'd be great.
retired and somebody else coming in. So yeah, I can definitely share it with you as well, and Burlington Schools. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So again, moving on to if we got that complaint about the Burlington Hilton, and it's really what can we do as a committee. I mean, as was VCL kind of reaching out. I've been involved in these where some businesses might have somebody complain about their accessibility services, and then all we can do is offer training, and sometimes you offer the training and it's no reply. So how can we better communicate with the businesses? And I did mention reaching out to, and again, being the great name person, I forgot her name, but is in charge of the marketplace, and maybe inviting her to a future meeting to see how we can collaborate with some of these issues.
So Kara Alwaznari would be in charge of what used to be called Church Street Marketplace, now Business Workforce Development.
Okay, that's what it is. So that would be the idea, and maybe hoping to do that for a November or December meeting where we can kind of connect to talk about that, because it is an issue. And we want to advise people, and we want to maybe invite them here to talk about the issues, to be a forum. But again, it's how do we get it in with these businesses? And I think it would be a good way to do that for future purposes. But also it might, if complaints come to Catherine, we kind of know of a venue of how to do that. Who to go to about how to do that, and approaching the businesses as well as the people. So I think my plan will be to reach out to Kara and try to invite her to the meeting. I do have a question. We have about 20 minutes, and I can save it in about the November meeting. So our November meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 20th or 21st, I believe, which is the week of Thanksgiving. And I know, like, my wife has it off, and I'm gonna have family coming to visit that week. If people find it might be challenging, if there's a number of people if they realize ahead of time, if they are going to be out on vacations and stuff, I wonder if we might want to bump the meeting to a week earlier or a week later. I don't know if everybody's here. I can certainly make it. But if people think it's going to be an issue doing a meeting the week of Thanksgiving, we could always try to bump it to a different date, either the Monday before or the Monday after. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? No? Okay, well, I can certainly do it for that Monday then. And if some people can't make it, they can't make it.
I will be
Um,
out for that. And then if you push it, I'm also still out the following Monday, but.
Okay.
Usually I feel like there's also the other Laura that's here. It may be worthwhile to ask her as well.
Okay, so that is really what I had on the agenda. I don't know if I did skip over the news and updates because I know Sophie had to leave at 3:30. So I did skip up that, but we can certainly, if anybody has any news or updates they want to provide about things going on in the community or contribution contributions. And okay, yep, no problem. Scott is stepping away. And Karen, there is a graduate student in the UVM occupational therapy program who is developing a project to increase retail store staff understanding of people who are neurodiverse. The Vermont Family Network is very interested in this as well. Burlington Church Street stores are the priority. I can share more info in future months. One thing we are getting more emails. I'm getting more emails from groups doing projects for accessibility. So I know there was that UVM program for Soundscape project that are looking for areas to put down their soundscape, and they are determining some sites of where best to do that. I did invite them to a future meeting to kind of discuss the findings of their project and to get feedback from this committee. I do think it might be great if this occupational OT student might present the committee, and it might be a good opportunity to invite Kara to this meeting to kind of see if maybe she could hear that and get part of it. So I am thinking it would be, getting a feedback to invite them to these meetings. So
I can give you a little more detail too. This parent, actually, this student, graduate student, Sarah James, is the parent of a child with autism. And when her child was 6 years old, they had a pretty negative experience in one of the downtown stores in Burlington. Her son is now 12 years old. And Sarah, she strikes me as someone that is a very, respectful, peaceful person who just wants to do something positive. And she does not live in Burlington, but she would like to target Burlington as her area for her project. Right, we did talk to Vermont Family Network about this. There is a lot of interest there with working with Sarah. And there's a couple of downtown stores now that I have some connection with, Ski Rack and Outdoor Gear Exchange, that could possibly be first pilot stores. And what it would be is training employees either with virtual video, virtual chat, just to help people have a better understanding of people with neurodiverse challenges, really socially, in shopping. So I can, Sarah James would be interested in joining one of our meetings, whatever works out, November, December, January. Okay.
Yeah, let's see who we can fit. I mean, I don't want to, have what I do want to do is I want to make sure we're spreading them out a little bit. So we're not having multiple presentations or groups on multiple months, but we could definitely do November, December. I think at the December meeting and beforehand, I'll try to send out a schedule. We always have a conflict with different holidays that fall on Monday that we need to schedule around. So I'll be getting that, but then we can kind of create some dates that we can invite people to attend, as well as kind of put together some goals for the 2024 year. Um, so I don't know if anybody else has any news or updates about things going on in Burlington, anything accessibility related. I don't have anything from my end at BCIL, except I will just want to let people know that our offices have gotten a huge stash of different COVID-19 masks, which are the Aurora N95s. We have KN95 masks, and we have multiple tests. So we have rapid gen tests, and we also have the Lucira tests, which are more in depth, and they actually don't make them anymore. We have the last batch. We are saving them to kind of go with people who are at risk. But if you know of anybody who could use any of these things, they just need to reach out to me and give their name. And all I do is mark down their name. I don't even get their address. I do the name, the town they live in, and the amount of masks and COVID tests I provide them with. And so that is the only other thing. We also may have gotten, I don't want to speak beforehand, but VCIL may have gotten a big grant to do home vaccinations of the latest booster shots, where we'll be able to fund people to an EMT to go into people's houses who can't leave and provide them with the vaccinations. So I don't want to speak about it too soon. It looks like we may have received the grant, but now it's just working out the logistics of it. But those are a couple of things. I just want to get the word out, and I'll probably be sending out more information about that if it takes place. Anybody else have anything they would like to discuss? What's that?
I'm sorry, Nate, I have your email address, but I was just looking through. I'm not sure if I have Catherine's. Catherine, are you in this meeting? Could you just drop your email in the chat if you wouldn't
Sure.
mind? Thank you.
Sure, will do. All right. Well, as I'm typing my email, I think it is safe for us to adjourn for now. So thank you everyone for attending, and talk to you all in November. Except you, Laura. Enjoy your week.
And we'll see everybody on November 4th at Oakledge.
That's right, November 4th. The people can make it to the opening. It should be fun. So, Allie, I did send it if you wanted to get it, or I can just forward you an email, whatever works better for you.
Oh, let me look here. Let me see if I see it in the chat. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. Okay, I've got it. Thank you.
I don't want to close it. I don't want to close it too soon. So let me know when you're able to copy and paste, and then I will.
Let me just paste it into something.
Nate, if you have a minute at the end of the meeting too.
Yep.
I just want to ask you a quick question about Sarah.
Okay, I've got it. I have it.
Okay, great.
Pasted. So thanks. I'll leave the meeting now. Thanks so much. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, Ethan. I will send you a copy of the transcript and the recording. Okay. You got it. Yep. Okay, what's up?
Great. No pressure on timing with Sarah James. I think more than anything, she just wanted to sort of join the meeting for part of the time. And, since we do have somebody from Parks and Rec that's on the committee, as well as city government, she just wanted to get a feel for, is this project worthwhile?
Okay.
and definitely getting the Church Street Marketplace person in the loop.
No, I
on-
think that's a great idea. I think it's a
Yeah.
really good idea to hopefully try to coordinate with that. My hope is try to get her to join this committee. I think it's really important. Rod Redmond, who had the job previous to her, was a huge part of this committee, and I think it would be great if somebody from that place joins and is part of that meeting. Whether or not that happens, I have no idea, but that would
Yeah.
be my hope. Ethan, all I wanted to ask you is if you wanted me to, I can send you the transcript and a link to the video if you want to plug in parts you may have missed in the beginning. That's all I was going to tell you. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Nate. Sorry,
Yep.
I was in and out this meeting. Have
No,
crazy stuff
no
going on.
problem.
But yeah, can definitely get those minutes done.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Have a good one.
And thanks, Nate, for agreeing to be one of our speakers. And
Oh.
you should be getting something from Chelsea Valancourt.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We have a VCIL based PowerPoint slideshow, but it's from like 10 years ago. So I need to blow the dust off it and see what I can
Well,
update. So-
yeah, and there's a lot of new therapists in Vermont now too, and we're gonna pull people in from all over Vermont. We have
Yeah.
people up in Newport, down in Bennington, that are active members of our group, so I'm hoping, we could get anywhere from 25 to 50 people. I don't know.
That's
how many
awesome.
people will sign up, but we offer these as a free virtual training for OT members of our association. And right now, we've got over 100 people that are paying membership dues, so
Yep,
they get in
That's
free.
great. Yep,
And
that's
then
great.
other
I love it.
people can pay whatever, it's cheap, $5, $10, I can't remember, so. Okay, thanks
All right.
again. See you
Sounds
soon.
good. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.